Hey, bud. Can you hear me good? Oh, shit. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. I just had to unmute myself. How's it going?
Yeah. Yeah. What's up, man?
Dude, I love that color. That's a nice color shirt. I got to get me one of those.
Yeah, dude. Just a little splash of color in here, touch it up a
Yeah.
little. Yeah. Yeah, man. How are you doing today? Where are you
I'm
at?
doing,
This looks like you're at a cabin.
I am in my mom's basement in New York
Oh, sweet.
on a vacation. So, I mean, it's good. Yeah. I wish I was in a cabin. It'd be nice. But no, I'm in White Plains, New York right now. So.
Oh, right on, man. Yeah, I went to law school up in Albany, so I know that area. I
Uh-huh.
was stomping around like up in those parts, man. So it's cool.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah,
good
it's
of you. I
beautiful up
like
there
it.
right now, right?
I'm sorry?
It's beautiful up there right now, isn't it?
It's May, June, July, August are amazing up here. 4 months of the year, it's like awesome. Once Labor Day rolls in, you just know it's time for winter. Winter's coming, as they say. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's painful, but I know it's awesome right now. It is.
Are you making it up to Saratoga this year?
I'm,
To look at the ponies?
I'm sorry?
Are you making it up to Saratoga this year to check out the ponies?
No, not me. Not a pony guy. Not a pony guy. No.
I got so excited to go do horse betting until I realized that I was like, man, this is a whole lot of sitting around.
It is, dude.
This is like a whole lot of sitting around and trying to get drunk. That's all.
You can do that anywhere. You don't have to go. You can stay in your house and do that, right? I mean,
you can do it anywhere, really.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't need to go do this out there, but.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that'd be cool, man. I heard you guys are doing some great stuff.
Yeah, we are. We started syndicating. So, I mean, it's, we started syndicating end of November. We did 2 deals in syndication right now. So created another little company from that. So get out of your comfort zone, test. We could have done one by ourselves, but sooner or later you got to rip off the Band-Aid, right? I mean, you got to figure it out, and it's not as hard as you think it is, but there's moving parts, and you just like I'm going to say, commit, and then you figure it out. That's what everyone has to do in life. If you can do that, then you're an entrepreneur. And the funny thing, Scott, you think that everyone's got their shit together when you realize that everyone's just winging it like everybody else. That's the great thing about life. If you can figure that out, man, you're way ahead of the game, right?
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. And that's even true in the attorney world, where people don't, and doctors too, right? Like they do this going into surgery, like I'm about to, cut out your whatever, right? There's like, yeah, fuck it. I get in there and I'll see what happens,
Uh-huh. Yeah, I agree 100% with you, man. 100%.
Oh, I'm stoked for you guys to do it, man. I have dreams to be able to do the same thing with like fundraising out of my own group, and then putting together syndication deals. I just don't have my shit together enough to like manage everything else I got going on and all the customer relationships.
Well, that's the thing. So you have to choose. Yeah, I mean, I'm reading a book from Michael Hyatt right now, Free to Focus. And I think everyone views productivity as let me do more stuff in the day. Actually, productivity should mean let me do the important stuff. And you pick and choose. Syndication might not be important to you right now, so don't focus on it. Whereas if you're a high level guy, you're going to do syndication, you're going to do your customer service, you're going to do legal solution. It's just too much, and then you can't handle it unless you bring partners on and say, okay, I can share the pie like we did. There's no way I could property manage, educate, syndicate, all that at one time. And we have a capital company, we're doing mortgages. There's no way unless I had partners in those ventures. It's not humanly possible to do it, or at least at a good level,
That's what I felt like was going to make the most sense for me. And I don't know if I'm barking up the right tree. Maybe you can let me know, which was to like get all the affiliate relationships up. To be like, hey, I know great syndicators, let me bring on. I know great insurance guys, let me bring them on as like affiliate.
Yes.
And then just refer everybody out. And then over time, maybe look in-house it, but don't in-house it first. Is that the right approach, do you think?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. For us with the syndication company, we actually brought a 25-year-old guy on, and a young guy, and he actually took care of the investor relations. He talked to companies, he set up the webinars. He had no money, but he has a lot of like time and effort into this. So me, Jake, and my other partner, we created the syndication, and that's what he's doing for us. So for us, that's the model that worked for us, and he's great. Now that we've got 2, we're hiring more people on. We're hiring a guy who can start analyzing deals for us and actually help Dylan out and start creating content. I mean, it's just like you just start growing, and as you're growing, you just add more pieces on,
That's cool, man. So you guys actually like hire people on, like a guy to say, hey, I want you to do my fundraising, and here's what you need to do for fundraising, and here's different guys. Like, I just want you to go find deals and bet them.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing. So Dylan is an equity partner. He owns 25% of the syndication company. Now that company, with the asset management fees we're getting from the deals, that's a viable company all by itself. So we're hiring out somebody to work in that company just to help Dylan create content, start marketing funnels, underwrite deals, talk to investors, talk to brokers, so that he'll be helping that company out. And we need that. I mean, like this right now, you want to continue to grow, and you can only work yourself so thin. We're doing a lot of investor meetups also. So Mike Taravella's name is, he's going to be coming to the investor meetups also, building the relationship and trying to build a culture. But first thing is you just got to do a deal. And then after you get overwhelmed, you're like, okay. But it's funny because as an entrepreneur, you want to do everything, right? But then you know that you can't do everything if you want to grow. But in the beginning, you need to do everything. So the mindset is, okay, I'm going to continue to do everything as I get bigger. That's just it's not humanly possible. It is not. So if you can learn that, it's a really good skill to learn. Do it, then delegate it out.
No, preach, brother. Well, cool, dude. So let's hop into our episode for today. I'm having a little trouble with getting it to go like on live, but I'm recording the Zoom thing, so then my staff will just take it, prepare it, and then back out as a posted video for us here.
Sure.
I have it as there to get into your first multifamily deal into it. So, and what kind of route did you want to take with that? That's going to be most valuable for you. Do you want to talk about like how people do it on their own, or how they could put money with somebody and what they would need to know when they're putting money with somebody, and that you'd be a good person for that?
I think the ultimate thing is, I think the first thing is just to having clarity. Do you want to refinance like we did, buy your own deals? Do you want to syndicate like we did? Do you want to partner with other people? I mean, that's the first thing you have to decide. Then the next thing, let me give you a framework. Okay, focus on a market. Let's pick the market first. Then let's start analyzing deals, and let's start talking to brokers. So I can go that route. Let's first figure out what you want to do, because Jake and I bought our first 1,000 units by ourselves. You don't have to do that. Let me open your eyes up, and maybe you can start syndicating for somebody else's deal and raising money for someone else's deal, and then, or you can syndicate your own deal, but whatever it is. And people don't even know that. They think they need $1 million to get into multifamily when you don't need money to get into multifamily.
Yeah, you just need to be able to find the deals and recruit the investors, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So maybe we can start off as like a super top of the funnel discussion of saying like, here's the different routes that people would go, and like here's the constraints of those routes. You want to get into your own deal, you're looking at a huge time commitment.
Yes.
If you're not, then like, okay, you probably need this many hours per week if you're going to be trying to get into your own deal and that's your first deal.
Yep.
If not, then look at this option. And if not, then look at this option. Then you need to find first how much time do you have and how much time that you can invest into it. You need to ask yourself, after you decide on one of those, what market am I going to go into?
Yep.
Once I know what market I'm going to get into, then you have to ask yourself, what people do I need to connect with to be able to do that? And say, okay, here's the type.
That's excellent. Very good. That's good. I like that.
Okay, cool. All right, let's jump into it then. We'll take just a brief pause, and then I'll just kick it off. Hey guys, thanks for joining me here today on our Facebook videos that we got coming out, guys. We have great Facebook groups to be able to talk with investors, CPAs, attorneys, all here from my staff and for people all around the country. Connect with us through the Royal Legal Solutions. Royal Legal Solutions business page, or reach out to us at royallegalsolutions.com. We're giving away free LLCs right now, even paying the filing fees for you guys, because we're on a mission to get every single person in the United States protected. And we know that it can save you money, and it's going to protect you and just make you into a much better tax position. A lot of people don't know about that. And if you don't know about our CPA that we have on staff, Evan Kirkpatrick, he is the best CPA I have found, hands down, in the real estate space. He's an absolute genius with it. Right now, we're actually giving away strategy sessions with Evan at a 50% off. We're going to have an email that's going to go out today with that offer for 50% off on a strategy session. What he's going to do for you guys is he's going to look through your last 3 years' tax returns. He's going to find you money and amending those returns to get you money back today from the IRS. And he's going to be able to tell you, here's what you need to be doing differently going into the future to save the most amount of money on taxes. You're also going to have an opportunity to hire us at that point if you want us to implement all of those things for you. But we're going to give you all the information, show you exactly what it is, so that way you can make the best decision of whatever is going to work for you. So contact us today through the website or at our number 512-757-3994 to be able to take advantage of those amazing offers. If we're not able to save you money on it, we're just going to give you all your money back. Right? We're that confident that in reviewing your returns that we're going to be able to save you money today to be able to pay for that talk, that we'll just give you all the money back. Now, you can be perfectly happy with the call. If we don't save you money, we'll give you all the money back, right? That's what I've seen with working with our clients so far, is that we're able to save every single person money, right? That's why I'm so confident in that. So thank you guys so much for all that. I want to introduce a good colleague of mine here in this space. We're in a space right now, guys, where it's harder and harder to find people that you can know and trust to help guide you through what real estate investing looks like. And one of the things that I think that really separates what he does from what other people do is that he's really about helping other people and finding ways to help people think about what it is that they need. And so today what we're going to be talking about in this conversation is a couple of things. When you decide you want to get into real estate, there's some constraints about what's the right thing for you to do, and this can matter in a lot of different moving pieces, right? So the framework that we're doing for talking about today's discussion of what is going to be right for you is, first, it's going to be looking at how much time do I have to invest in this realistically, right? I know we all want to say, hey, I'm going to jump into it with both feet. I'm going to hit it with a ton of energy, and I'm going to work 40 hours a week on top of my 40-hour job, on top of take care of my 4 kids and my sick mother, and I'm going to do all this. No. Look at realistically, how much time do you really have to invest in looking at what you're going to be doing to build the wealth for your future, and in this context, real estate. The second thing you want to look at is what market, after you decide how much time can I invest, what type of investor can I be, what is the market that I can get into that makes sense given the current market cycles. There's up cycles and there's down cycles in the market. You need to be aware of what are the risks are that you're taking and make a decision on saying, I think we're here and these are the types of markets that I think I could really get into. The third thing we're going to talk about is how do you pick your team. Once you know how much time you can invest, what type of investor you're going to be. After you know, here's the market that I want to get into, then we're going to talk about what is the type of team that you need to be successful inside of that market. So with all of that said, guys, and to kind of set the stage for you here, allow me to kick it over to my wonderful guest here to introduce himself and to be able to share with you guys his background as well as the types of investors that he's helping right now. And I can tell you guys right now that they're doing amazing things. So take it away.
Scott, before we start, I want that phone number again. That risk reversal you gave is amazing. What's that number that I can call you up to get your CPA? Give it to me.
Yeah, it's 512-757-3994.
Okay, guys, in the business, we call it a risk reversal. You have nothing to lose. Pick up the call. The least you can do is get some amazing knowledge. He can't save any money, but he's going to give you some great knowledge. You want to surround yourself with people like Scott and people around him. That's what it's all about in the multifamily space. My name is Gino Barbaro. I'm one of the co-founders of Jake and Gino. I started investing about 6 years ago with my partner, Jake. The first thing about multifamily and about any business that you're going to get into is figure out your clarity. Why are you doing this? I had a restaurant. I hated my job for 20 years. I liked it. The last 5 years of it, it was a soul-sucking experience for me. I was working harder, making less. Some of the myths I want to dispel in the next 30 minutes we speak is I don't have enough time. Well, you know what? I didn't have enough time either, but I had 6 kids. But I had my reason why. If you can figure out your reason why, you can get clarity, you can do anything. I promise you that. I didn't have a lot of money. You need a lot of money to get into multifamily. Well, we're going to talk about a couple of techniques here that you don't need a lot of money. What you need is creativity and you need education. So those are the first 2 things. Everybody on the call, think about it. Why do you want to get into multifamily? I wanted to actually reclaim my life. I wanted to follow my sole purpose, and that's why I created Jake and Gino, is to actually help investors get into multifamily. And I've seen the power of multifamily. Scott can talk to you about the tax benefits, the principal pay down, the cash flow. All of those things are great, but if there's not a reason for you why to get into it, when the times get tough, and they do get tough, this is not a short game. This is what I call the long game. Think of it as a farmer planting a seed and then taking 6 or 7 months for that seed to grow. Multifamily is just like that, and just like any business. So let's get that straight right off the top. Not a get-rich-quick thing, but it is one of the best vehicles for you to get from point A to point B. Does that make sense, Scott?
Can I take you back into that for real quick? Because
Yes.
what I want to go into that is say, I just got back from a Champions event with a group I belong to called Go Abundance, which are all very successful guys. They're all entrepreneurs. Gina's also a member of it as well, too. And one thing I found out about is that for these guys that have really made it to like a really high level of income, there's actually everything else in their life becomes what the needs are. Because after you solve the money problem, you start to figure out like, hey, how do I have deeper relationships with people? How do I have more adventures? How do I have better relationships with my family? And then you get to focus on all of these pieces, and that's what these guys have really realized. But the thing that struck out to me more and more and more as I was talking with them, all of them are in multifamily. Every single one of them, none of them are getting the financial freedom they're looking for by buying 1 million single-family homes. They're all doing multifamily investments. We had one guy that was there as a guest speaker to us that was a close friend of of the group. And he has a net worth of $750 million, as controls about $1.5 billion in assets. And we had dinner with him. I had a 3-hour dinner with him, with the group there. And what he said was, I just bought. I bought at the right LTVs, so I wasn't at risk of markets going up and down, and I just held. Mm-hmm. Over time, he started with nothing. He started with literally $0 into his pocket 40 years ago, and he just kept buying assets. They were good deals that he had vetted because he had the knowledge, and he was grinding through the hard work it was to find that great deal, buying it and holding it. And wow, is that possible? I didn't even know that was even possible until I met this guy. I said, wow, you can almost become a billionaire just by taking action in family spaces, buying it, holding it, and looking at the just the huge accumulation you get along the way. So I just want to share that with you guys so you have a touch point for, what's really possible in this game is actually more than I even knew about before I was just there on this last trip. So Gino, yeah, thank you for sharing that and setting the stage with that. So I'll let you continue on with what we were talking about here in terms of, what do you need to know when you're going to take those first steps? Sure.
I think the next thing to piggyback off of what you said is multifamily is a business, right? And it's one of the best businesses that I know of. It's what Scott was saying with single family homes. It's scalable. Multifamily, you can buy a 20-unit property and have 20 units in one location. Instead of having 20 single-family homes scattered out, you want to be able to buy a business where you can scale it, where you can hire employees, and where you can grow, and on top of the tax benefits. And what Scott was saying with these high-level individuals, what I learned is profit is not the fuel for us. It's the destination. We're not in it just to make money. We're in it to improve communities. We're in it to give tenants actually a really great, a really great unit to rent. If you think about it, the C space that I operate in, those are the underserved tenants. And you're always looking as an entrepreneur to bring value to them. And number one is customer service. They don't have the customer service in the C space. That's why we like to operate in that space. It's a little less recession proof. When the economy is going to take a hit, those A properties, what's going to happen to them? There's going to be a lot of concessions in there. There's been a lot of overbuilding. They're going to move down into the Bs. The C space, when we go into recession, those tenants cannot go out and buy a home. So they're going to be stuck renting. If I give you the demographics of renters, there's 36% of the U.S. is renting right now. It's been up 5 percentage points in the last 10 years. It's amazing. The affordable housing crisis that we're having, it's there. The millennials are not buying right now. They're renting. The baby boomers are downsizing. So it's a perfect storm for multifamily. That's why Scott was mentioning it's harder to find deals because the rents are still going up. How do you get into your first deal? Got clarity. Now we want to do it. What's the first thing you need to do? You need to assess what your strategy is. Do you want to start raising money for your own deals as a syndicator? Do you want to start syndicating and raising money for somebody else's deals? Do you want to start buying deals internally for yourself? Or do you want to start partnering with other people? I chose partnering with Jake on my first deal because I didn't know any better. I didn't know what syndication was 8 or 9 years ago. It wasn't one of those words. Scott, you must see it all over the place now. But 8 or 9 years ago, syndication was not a hot topic. The Jobs Act had not hit yet, or it just started hitting. And of 2012, that's when raising money really got a lot easier. So I started buying my own deals. The first 1,000 units we were able to buy on our own. Just Jake, myself, and a partner, we were able to refinance the proceeds and roll them into the next deal. We call that refi and roll. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start analyzing deals and taking deals down yourself? There's nothing wrong with that. I can go into a couple of the pros and cons. Syndication for me was a little scary. I was taking investors' money. Was I comfortable doing that? On my first and second deal, I wasn't, because I wanted to have proof of concept. I wanted to have some credibility. I wanted to know that I could do this on my own. So syndication for me off the bat was not a viable option. My problem was I waited too long to start syndicated. I've only syndicated my first deal back in November, 6 months ago, and we've done a second deal here in February. So my strategy should have been start syndicating sooner, start getting bigger deals, because when you syndicate, you're able to raise money and get into the bigger deals a lot quicker. So where do you want to go? Do you want to start buying deals yourself, or do you want to start syndicating? The next thing, after you've done that, start putting a credibility book together. Start putting together how you're going to actually get money or bring these assets down. It's a business plan. What is your business plan going to look like? Are you going to be buying in emerging markets? Or are you going to be buying affordable housing? We call it the mom and pops. So our credibility book is all about buying mom and pops. So when an investor or potential partner sees that credibility book, they know exactly how I'm investing in the property, exactly how I'm making money, and they know all about the market demographics. That's the next thing. Focus on the market. You don't have to invest in your backyard. I started out in my backyard. Scott knows I live here in Westchester County. I used to live here. The deals didn't make sense here. So my first thing was, let me go to a market that cash flows. My whole objective 8 years ago was to get enough cash flow to get out of my restaurant. And that meant for me going to Rochester, New York. The only problem with Rochester, I could not scale up quick enough. I only was buying duplexes at the time. So I was blessed, met Jake. He was a drug rep in my business, my restaurant. He moves down to Knoxville, Tennessee. We start looking at the deals down there. I'm like, these deals make sense down there. I said, Jake, you want to start partnering up and buying deals? And that's what we did. It took us 18 months to find that first deal, but focus on the market. What kind of market do you want? Do you want a market that has a little bit of capital appreciation and cash flow? That's more of an emerging market. I can throw out a few right now. There's markets like Chattanooga, markets in South Carolina. You have Louisville, where we are. And then there's markets that are more linear. Think of the Midwest, Rust Belt states, where you have markets like Cleveland, Dayton. They're really great cash flowing, but you're not going to get that big boom and bust because they are just sitting there nice and slow. So figure out what market you're going into. And we could have a whole show on what market demographics and what it looks like to choose a market. But basically, you want one that's really not declining. You want a market that has several employers. Rochester, Cleveland Clinic's got one job. You want a diversity of jobs in the market. You do want to have some kind of population and job growth, obviously. If it's in your backyard, you may sacrifice that because it's a lot easier to invest in your backyard. But if you're going out of market, you need to have jobs coming in. That's why the Southeast is great. JJ calls it the SEC. Anything in the Southeast Conference is awesome. Be careful for the blue states because what Trump is doing with the tax code, it really hurts. And you see the migration out. It's more expensive for businesses to do business in those states. And now that everything is so automated and so online, you can set up shop and go anywhere and live anywhere. That's why renting is great. If you're a millennial and you want to live in Tennessee 1 year and next year go to Florida, you just pick up and move. You're renting. You don't have to worry about home ownership. So you have to worry about that. I think the next thing is, once you focus on that market, let's choose that market. Don't go into too many markets, because when you're first starting out, if you're choosing on 2 or 3 markets, what you focus on grows. So focus on that one market you like, all boots on the ground, burn the ships, then start going in and start opting into broker lists. You want all those offering memorandums coming in because you really need to learn what's going on in that market. You want me to continue?
You get that volume. You get a volume. So I think a lot of people don't know that they need to start opting into their wholesale and broker lists to start getting that deal flow. It's not usually like remember, those deals are going out to everybody, right? So those are high competition pieces. But from my experience in there, it gives me a lot of deal flow stuff to analyze, right? It gives me like things to work with, especially, starting out with new investors. I always say, do that because it gives you stuff to start running through the practice of what it is that you need to be looking at, right? So one of the things that we found out on my podcast, Real Estate Nerds, I had Grant Cardone on the show here just a couple of weeks ago. Phenomenal interview with him, and he was telling me about how, in typical Grant Cardone style, right? He's saying, oh yeah, I can know a property in 60 seconds from the moment I walk into it, And the question I had was, first of all, the question was like, okay, yeah, right, but right, and then I started to hear a little bit more about it. I was like, oh, I see what's happening. What's really happening is you can probably actually know inside of 60 seconds whether that's a good deal or not, because you've looked at thousands and thousands of similar deals. So you can just very quickly, you can almost intuit like, oh, this is a good deal. But it's not because you have magic powers. It's because you've analyzed so many deals. You know exactly what to look for. What does a good deal look like? What doesn't it? What things are the leverage points that make it a good deal, so you can just have red flags or big flashing lights that say, this is a good one, to pay attention to. And that's what the top level investors are really doing. And the way you have to do that is doing all of the hard work of analyzing deal after deal after deal after deal until it becomes second nature to you. You're going to be at that level, right?
I like that. So the reason why I would tell all the students to opt into these offering memorandums, get on all the brokers lists. These deals are not going to be good, but every offering memorandum is like a story. They're all going to be really nice marketing packages. You're going to know all the job growth. You're going to know all those metrics, but then you're going to start seeing a theme. You're going to start seeing all the sales comps, all the rent comps. So you're going to really learn your market even before you need to pick up a phone and call a broker. So you're going to have all that information. So when you do call a broker and you're asking about a deal and he's going to say, yeah, the rents can rot, we can get rent growth in this. You're going to say, you know what, Mr. Broker, rents are at $720 a month. Down the street, they're getting $740. There's not really much rent growth there. So those offering memorandums are going to give you a lot of information in the market. You need to opt into them before you even talk to a broker. Get tons of them. And, as you start reading them, you'll see, see, okay, in the market, what Grant Cardone's referencing to, there's a couple of things you can, as you're getting really good at this, you can look at the price per unit. In our market, it's $50,000 per unit on average in Knoxville. If those rents are between $700 and $800, that's a deal. That's how we look at deals also. So there's so many different ways of looking at it. You can look at an offering memorandum and see that the operators are running at $6,000 per unit expenses. Well, we know ours are $4,500 per unit. Bam, that's a value add right there. So you're always looking at offering memorandum to see where you can pull out value, whether you can increase income or whether you can decrease expenses. Are there some units that are down? That's the story to offering memorandums. Don't be afraid to opt in. Don't expect any deals, but what you're doing right now, the next 30 to 60 days, like I said, it's the long game. Start getting that information in, start plugging that in and start analyzing these deals. Now, when you feel comfortable, the next thing I would do is I would definitely schedule property tours. You want to get face-to-face with brokers, and in the multifamily space, it's not residential. There's no such thing as the MLS. Some markets up in the Northeast are more MLS driven, but for the most part, a lot of the brokers are holding these deals and they're off-market or pre-market. And I always get the question as, why do people not want to list their properties? Well, when you have a mom and pop seller, a lot of times they don't want to alert tenants. They don't want to alert their employees that they're selling, so they're trying to keep it on the hush-hush. So they're not listing it out there. So they'll go to a broker and say, Mr. Broker, can you put it out to your buyer list and see who'd be interested? So there are a lot of pre-market or off-market deals. Sometimes the brokers don't want to spend hours and thousands of dollars on marketing it, so they're going to go to their choice buyers and say, would you like to look at this deal? So that's why you need to get on these brokers lists, because eventually they're going to start sending you those deals. But you need to create rapport with these brokers. And in every market, there might be 3 or 4 or 5 top multifamily brokers in there. So go on LoopNet, go on CoStar, see who those brokers are and start reaching out to them. But before you do that, do your homework. And if you're afraid of calling those brokers, call a broker in, North Dakota and start your pitch there and see how that goes. If you want to get comfortable there, start talking to brokers out of your market, then start calling your brokers in market. And it's like anything else. You might be afraid or fearful at first or second or third or fifth call, but I'm telling you, once you get practice, it's just like anything else. It's just going to get more comfortable once you're doing it.
100%. And if you're looking for I don't have a ton of time, like what's the most valuable thing for me to be doing? In my experience, this is the hard work that's really valuable. Can you get used to picking up the phone and talking to people? You gotta be able to do that if you're to find good deals. Good deals happen over lunch, or maybe over the phone, right? Mm-hmm. Better over lunch. If you can get it over lunch, you're always gonna get a better deal than you're ever gonna get over the phone, right?
Yes.
And this is the homework. This is the homework of where the knowledge that you read in the books actually meets where the rubber meets the road for you to know. And when you do this, this is when you're going to start to be able to see like, oh, I can find out what other people aren't seeing. What makes a good deal versus a good deal to one person, a bad deal to the other, is who is the person that can actually see what the best and highest use of the property is. So ultimately, real estate investing is really a creative game. What's the creativity I have of where we could take this property and find out a better and higher use than the person that's next to me? If I can find that, then I'm actually okay spending more money on the property than that guy because my vision for what to create is that much better. And not all things shake out to the explicit numbers, right? Especially when you're doing value add and you're using these Class C, Class B properties and doing value add to upgrade them, knowing what to add that's going to be tasteful, that's going to look right, that's going to have the right feel, all of these soft parts that would come into investing translates into huge dollars. And that guy that I was telling you about that has a $750 million net worth that I had dinner with over this last weekend, that's what he did. He could go into a property and see what is the value that needs to be added here that other people couldn't see. Other people could see the numbers, but they couldn't see the vision of where to take it. And when you start to look at more deals, that's the skill set that you're developing to be able to take you to the long-term success that you're looking for. And the best part is that it's totally controllable in whatever time commitment you have. You just have to commit to doing something, to
yes.
one phone call, to look at one deal. And that is the first step to the financial freedom that you're looking for.
Wow, there's so many notes that I took while you've been speaking. So let's talk about that real quick. First thing is, we've been talking about motion. Motion is great, but it's not action. Now's the time to take action. You've done a lot of motion by researching, by looking at this, doing this stuff. Now's the time to take action by going on these property tours and by engaging with these brokers. And one of our coaches, one of my top coaches says, you need to look at 80 deals to get a deal in this market. So if you're only looking at 4 deals a week, it's going to take you 20 weeks to get a deal. If you're looking at 2 deals a week, it's going to take you 40 deals. So know that all the professionals out there, and when I say look or underwrite, it's at least coming across your desk and doing that quick analyzation. You need to be looking at least 80 of them in this kind of market. So where are we in the market right now? That's the other thing. Right now, to buy value, you're not buying on actual numbers right now. You're buying on a pro forma cap. If you can buy something on an actual 5 cap in the market where you know you're going to increase it to a 7 cap, that's where the value is. I'm going to give the listeners away a 4-step questionnaire, because when you're underwriting a deal, I always look at it as 4 steps. What do you need to do when you're underwriting a deal? The first thing is you need to select the market, like we've talked about. The second thing is, most people skip on this, is owner questions. Why is the owner selling the property? If there's no motivation to the owner selling the property, move along, because you're not going to get a deal, especially in this market. There's other deals in the pipeline. How long has he owned it? All these questions you need to ask the owner. The third one is the property. Like you mentioned, is there higher and better use? But other than that, let's go into the unit of the property. Let's go into the pitched roofs. Are the galvanized plumbing? All these issues with the property that may make it attractive or not attractive. Once those 3 criteria have passed, let's start doing the financial numbers. Let's start diving into a deep dive. Those are the things you need to really look at when you're underwriting a deal. And like I said about the market cycle, it's important to know what part of the market cycle you're in right now. There are deals in every part of the market cycle. You just need to know when to buy to limit your downside risk. And I like that investor does not have that high LTV. I mean, we're buying stuff at 75% LTV right now. So if and when there's a correction, when, right now, occupancy rates are 96%. If we go to 90 in our portfolio, we're going to be okay because we bought them right. I don't see a crash going below 90%, even, post 2008. A lot of the issues weren't because of occupancy. It was because of people were so over levered on their portfolios that they couldn't pay off. So just be careful and limit your downside risk on your portfolio.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think that's really the number one thing that people, I've seen really, really smart guys talk about right now is saying, try to get into lower LTV pieces, right? Mm-hmm. Be able to make sure that if you have market corrections that you can make your payment and know that you have some cushion built into that. That way, if it happens, you're like, okay, cool, I'm still at least making my mortgage payment. Things are affordable. You're not having to give back assets, right? Some of the best guys that I have that are worth $100 million plus into this, we're even talking about in 2008 that they lost 60% of their income and the crash. They were still able to make their mortgage payments. They still didn't have to give back assets. And the reason that this is important, guys, and the reason that I'm harping on this is like, know your LTVs, get the LTVs right, is because it's so hard to come back. We all love the underdog story of the person that crashed and burned and that was able to come back, but a lot of people don't. And the ones that do, it is hard on them. I mean, it's really, really hard. If you can do steps now proactively to make sure that you don't have the big dips, your life overall is better. There's more continuity with what it is you're able to build. Can you come back? Can you survive if things go sideways? Sure. Is it worth trying to eke out an extra 1 or 2% to take that kind of risk? My estimation is always no. It's never worth it because the money at the end of the day is only one part of this much bigger puzzle that we're trying to solve, which is how do we have the best life possible, right? Well, money then has to be something that we can say we can control it. We know exactly where it's at. We know it's dependable. We're not going to allow money's situations to be able to control our life. At least that's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for having money be a non-issue, right? That's what financial freedom really is about. And to do that, what it means is you have to know who the right team of people it is to surround yourself that think similarly to you and are going to help guide you to the same types of solutions. So we work on that on like the tax and legal fronts and a few other areas at Royal Legal Solutions. And I know that Gino works on that on the investor advisory front, connecting people. Say, here's where some deals are at. Here's where great people are to be able to partner with, having great communities of people to connect with. And Gino, can you tell us a little bit about, I know we're running a little bit short on time, but can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you bring to investors that makes them really, really valuable to know that this is a community of people that is the right community for them?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I started Jake and Gino because I finally found my sole purpose. I went to life coaching school. Everything became clear to me once I hit 45 years old. Don't know why. The light switch went on. And I realized 2 things. I realized that we all need an environment. We're all individuals, creatures that need an environment. We're community based. So I always wanted to create a community of multifamily investors. And I think the other thing was that I was identifying at the time as a chef, as a pizza guy. Once I started to change my identity to become a multifamily investor, that really, escalated my ability to learn. And, we didn't mention this on the podcast yet. I'm surprised, but real estate is really a network ability. You really need to network and create and get in front of other people. It's all about relationships in real estate, whether you want to talk to a realtor, whether you want to meet a mortgage broker, whether you want to meet an inspector. How am I going to need Scott as my legal attorney, or finding the deals? It's all about networking, and you want to get into a community that has people that are doing it. Follow people who are doing it, and then I think once you do that, it'll be success leaves clues. So if you really want to find somebody who's doing something that you want to aspire to, find that person and find out how you can get involved.
That's awesome. So, Gino, for people that want to get involved with Jake and Gino and want to learn more about what you're doing there, what's the best way for them to do that?
Oh, perfect. It's just our website is jakeandgino.com. My email is gino@jakeandgino.com. We have the #1 rated podcast on iTunes for multifamily investors. It's called Wheelbarrow Profits. Reason why we called it Wheelbarrow is we have a 3-legged framework. It's buy right, manage right, and finance right. So that's our framework. We teach that because for every deal, once you buy it right and you get the right financing, the manage right, or the wheel is in constant motion. So I can get hit up on iTunes. We have Instagram, Facebook. So, if you want to have any questions on multifamily, just email me, gino@jakeandgino.com. It'd be great.
Awesome, guys. We're going to have those contact places for you guys here inside of the show notes posted onto the Facebook notes here too, as well as inside of the podcast notes. So thank you so much, Gino, for coming on our show here today and sharing all this great information with everybody. We have all of our offers here at Royal Legal Solutions that we have kicking off here starting this week. Of course, we're having the free LLC that we've been paying the filing fees for, and our mission to be able to get everybody in the United States protected. It gets you asset protected for what it is that you need as a bare minimum, as well as all of the pieces that you need put in place to start leveraging your business structure to save you money on taxes. And we're even going to show you how to do that. There's no obligation to buy anything from us. We're just here to be able to give you all of the basics that you need. As you grow, we expect that we're going to grow with you, right? That's what's really going on here at the end of the day, is they're saying, man, come in with it, form a relationship with us, let us help you at least at the bare minimum. And that way we know that you can, join our community and start benefiting from all the hard work that I put out. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, this is what I do to be able to help people more than anything else. We also have our tax strategy session. So if you're thinking, hey, man, I don't know, if my CPA, if I really have the best CPA, is he really working as hard as he should to be able to save the money that I need on taxes? If they're not doing at least 2 to 3 tax strategy sessions with you every single year, to be able to make sure that you're proactively saving money on taxes, they're not really doing the top tier job, which you need as an investor to maximize your tax savings. At the end of the year, guys, it's actually too late to try to save money on taxes. You actually need to take proactive steps to make sure that you're managing things correctly to be able to maximize your tax savings. So what we're doing is we're going to go back for you. It's 50% off of our normal rates for a limited time. To be able to go back, we're going to look at your last 3 years of tax returns. We're going to find out where they missed money. And that's going to get you money back in your pocket today. If we don't save you money, guys, you get all of your money back for what you paid us into. We're not in the business of taking money for you unless we're going to save you money. We're also going to tell you, here's the things that we've seen from the past, what you've told us about what you got going on right now, and here's the things you need to be thinking about to save yourself money in the future given your business. Now, at that point, we're going to have options for you to be able to, if you want us to help you implement all of those pieces, to be able to put all the motions in place so you can just offload all of your tax and legal on us, and we watch your back, and we dot all the I's and cross all the T's and take it all off your plate for you, of course. So reach out to us at royallegalsolutions.com at 512-757-3994, or you can email me at scott@royallegalsolutions.com, and we'll get you taken care of. So thank you, Gino, for coming on the show, brother. I hope to see you hope to see you around here soon, and if not, at the next GoAbundance event.
Scott, keep making it happen, my friend. Thanks for having me on. Take care, everybody.
Bye.